Welcome everybody, my name is Andy. I like to talk and well, I'm pretty damn handy. Join me on my show, the Roots Fitness Podcast, as we talk about life and we share a few laughs. Welcome to the podcast, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in again. Thank you so much for tuning in to our message of health and fitness, and more importantly, our message of connecting the mind with the body, so that we may tap into the spirit of who we are as we exercise our way through this wonderful, amazing life that we all have the opportunity to live. So today's podcast, first off, this is the very first one where I'm going to be videoing the whole ordeal. And here's the reason why. We are the Roots Fitness Podcast. We are the Roots Fitness Movement Podcast. And this is not just movement of the body, but movement of the body so that it moves the mind. So today during our podcast, I'm going to be stretching. I'm going to be moving. I'm going to be doing some different things because I just can't sit still, guys. Asking me to sit still and do a podcast is like asking a unicorn to poop a rainbow. First off, you can't find a unicorn. Second, I don't know if I want one to poop a rainbow. So, what is today's topic? What is today's main goal? I'm going to talk about handstands today. Handstands being one of the most challenging things I've ever learned. And for those of you that are watching, you can see the handstand is not really that much of a challenge for me anymore. There was a time whenever my shoulders were so messed up, I couldn't even think of doing anything on my hands, not even a push-up. But fortunately for me, through handstands, I acquired the practice of hope, which then allowed me to exercise the acquisition of happiness. So handstands have led to hope, and hope has led to happiness. How? How can a handstand, how can a fundamental kind of really just exercise you don't need to learn, how can that help you become a better person, a better you? Well, the simple answer is doing something that seems so audacious and so crazy and so far away from who you are that if you achieve it, you know you'll be somebody different. You know you'll be someone new to even yourself. That's the beauty of the handstand for me. When I began to pursue the handstand, I had multiple dislocations in my shoulders, lots of pain, lots of frustration. I was a power lifter and a strongman competitor, and my pressing always suffered. My deadlifts and my squats and leg-bearing exercises were very strong and very confident, but when it came to anything involving my shoulders, there was zero confidence. And it showed in my training, it showed in my competition. I would rely on my stronger events to help lift up my weaker events, which is definitely something you want to do. But then there begs this problem of, well, what are you doing about that weaker event? Are you just using your strengths to uplift that weakness? Or are you actively trying to become stronger at both your strengths and your weaknesses? And this kind of became the driving force for the handstand, as I realized your pressing really sucks. You're not really good at pressing anything, period. So you've got to get good. And what's the hardest thing for anyone to learn to do on their hands? It screams shoulder stability and shoulder balance. That's the handstand. So you can see how naturally, for me, I chose that path. I chose the most challenging thing I could do, knowing along the way of achieving what at the time I thought was impossible, I would achieve so many impossible things along the way, and both of those proved to be true. I did achieve the impossible. I can do a handstand, and I am currently working towards a one-arm handstand. And I've also achieved some phenomenal things along the way, such as things like the QDR, just learning to balance on one arm. That came from just a very fundamental understanding of handstands. And when you think about this concept, my shoulders are good. A handstand taught me to do things that weren't even handstand related. Yeah, I'm standing on a hand and yeah, I'm balancing, but this is not part of my original mindset, my original thought process. Morning. So the handstands, as I began to get better, as I began to understand more of where my shoulders were weak and where they could use some strength and how they could actually make me better as opposed to being a weakness that I just worked around, I began to understand hope. And man, this is definitely the hardest part because during the handstand practice itself, it's very discouraging. During the practice of anything new, it's very discouraging. You find yourself focusing on all the things that you're doing wrong which whenever you're doing something that you have no idea how to do and you've never done before, you're pretty much going to do everything wrong. So you sit in this wrongness in your mind, and you have to convince yourself of the truth, that this isn't wrong, that this is part of the process, that this is part of the path, that these aren't wrong things you're doing, they're mistakes you're making so that you will learn from them and you won't make them again. It's part of the learning process. The mindset, however, to be able to see that hope, to grasp that hope and continue to hold on to that hope throughout the process of doing something really challenging, is sometimes even more challenging than the actual physical exercise that we use to build this confidence in ourselves. The mindset of saying, I will get a handstand, all I have to do is go train it today. Well, a lot of times we don't want to train that day. A lot of times we want to do other things, and that's totally okay. We just can't lose sight of hope. You know, our thoughts aren't negative, our thoughts aren't bad. You should never get on to yourself for feeling or thinking a certain thing. You should only get on to yourself for not doing particular things. You know, it's okay to think that today's not a good day for handstands, but it's not okay to not go do something geared towards a handstand. So the practice of hope. Handstands showed me hope. And then comes the hardest practice. And to be honest with you, because this is a raw and this is a real podcast, I'm still an asshole. I still struggle every day. The things that I speak to you guys about are things that are constantly on my mind. I'm constantly struggling with, and I'm in this battle with you. This is not speaking from a place of experience as look at me, I've conquered it. This is speaking from a place of experience of look at me, every day I'm fighting too. I'm fighting the battles, I'm fighting the wars, and I'm continuing to stand forward and stand up and move forward towards happiness, to bring it around full circle. And happiness for me is the biggest challenge. I can't even answer that question why. I have no good reason to not be a happy person at all. But for some reason I struggle with it. I struggle with acceptance of love from others, acceptance of love from myself, and acceptance of really just the practice and the exercise of happiness. And doing handstands and being hopeful about holding a handstand while you suck at handstands is not a happy time. It's very frustrating for me. It makes me angry when I can't do something. It's the most ridiculous mindset. I'll try something I've never done before, then I'll go do it, and I'm like, you piece of shit, you can't do it. Whoa! I've never even done this before. Of course I can't do it. In the past, that's turned to anger, and now the practice is to be happy, is to find happiness once again in the wrongness, or the trial and the error, or the failure, or the hope. Yeah, and it's when you're making mistakes and when you're doing everything in what your mind perceives to be all wrong because you won't focus on the long game, the truth of the handstand 2 years down the road or the exercise 2 years down the road, you're going to lose sight of happiness. You're going to become angry with yourself, and you're going to begin to despise yourself and degrade yourself, and that's just not fair to anybody. It's not fair to you or the people who have to listen to you talk shit on yourself. Not cool. Maintaining happiness during that time period is a hell of a practice and a hell of a challenge. It's hard to look yourself in the mirror after failing a handstand when you had 3 sets of 10-second holds up here and you only got 2 total seconds throughout the whole session, which is something that happened to me in the beginning of my training, and still having to say, hey, good job today, bud. It seems easy to just say, oh, it's okay, you're just training. But just like everything else, when your body and your mind are immersed in the practice, that's when it's real. We can speculate, we can speak. Even these words that I'm speaking to you are just speculation and ideas of things for you to hold on to whenever the shit hits the fan. Because there's going to be a time when you're going to have to practice this. You're going to have to be there doing that exercise that you don't want to do. Maybe it's running that 5K or trying to do that first pull-up or working on that handstand or just working on not eating trash or just working on not negative self-talking yourself into a hole. All of those things are going to be present in the reality of the exercise. And if we can focus our mind on the hope and the happiness that we know comes from it, because science proves that exercise, physical exercise, increases happiness in the body through release of chemicals. If we can rest assured in that confidence and in those numbers that have been there and have been studied time and time again that prove our ridiculous thoughts that are all based in ideas wrong, if we can hang on to that thought, then our handstand or our exercise, the challenge, that's no longer the focus. It's now about the hope and the happiness that come from it. And for me, hope and happiness were not ever in abundance in my life of my own choosing, just like with yours. It is of your own choosing. And instead of focusing on the handstand I focused on the hope that was going to get me to the perfect handstand that I may or may not achieve and I don't care about achieving. Or focus on the happiness that I will experience when I achieve that perfect handstand. I want to experience the hope and the happiness now, and I can. I can have hope that this exercise that I'm doing right now is going to make me better. And I can be happy that I'm challenging myself to do something different. Challenging myself to do something that most people probably won't ever have the guts to try. When you're doing something different, you're always going to stand out, and you're always going to be going against the grain. It's because it's different. And when you look up and find that you're going against the grain, and you see all the resistance and the pushes and the shoves and the words that come with him, that's when the exercise of hope and happiness are going to come out. Because when people judge you right to your face, in your mind, you're not going to care. You're going to be so happy they're judging you. You know why? Because they're paying attention. Because they're watching and seeing you exercise hope and happiness. And they want it. And if they don't have it, that's when they're going to be on your case and telling you you're wrong. But if they do have it, they're going to be all behind you saying, let's get it done. And those of you that know me, that have worked with me, that have been around me when you've fallen your hardest, you know those people exist because I'm one of them. I don't care how hard you fall, and I've probably fallen harder. And I'm still up. I'm still moving. I'm still grooving. I'm still here today talking to you. Guys, happiness, hope, and handstands. The formula. Pick an exercise. Focus on the hope that this exercise will get you to your end goal, and enjoy every single step of the process. Because guys, this here turns into this here one day. Got it, guys? It ain't about perfection. It's about progress and finding happiness along your journey. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for listening. Make sure you follow us on YouTube. See you next time.